Once we did see what we needed to see in at the runtime, it's a good idea to get rid of these breakpoints. We don't need to have them hanging around like this. This is pretty much all in terms of the dynamics of this lab, except that I would like to show you a few more things with respect to if you're coding these callback functions, and for some reason something breaks during the build, which means that you probably did something wrong declaring function parameters, or the type of the function, or placement of the function. So essentially, what it's good to know that Fluid Designer is capable of generating these functions, and sometimes when my own code doesn't work, then we can use Fluid to generate something very similar and verify with Fluid that our own format is correct. So let's just go over this very quickly in our lab handout. I have this section which is optional. I'm not going to do this. We're just going to review it inside Fluid, review all of the parts of this portion of the handout. So I will jump back to my lab directory. Under external we have Fluid, which we already have a copy of. So I'm just going to start it, and of course I'm going to say file open, and you know that Fluid maintains the project, so it points to previous lab, but now I have a new lab. So don't make a mistake just opening this because it looks exactly like what we really need. It's not. So this is now a new lab today, right? So we need to point this to Fluid project under the lab 3A, and this is the copy of the project that we want to open. It's a little confusing when all these file names are the same. So we open it. Of course, it's our lab 3. Now, by the way, we can just double click here and fix it to say 3A, because this is really lab 3A. So we can update that. And now let's review the steps to just want to change some of my window arrangement to make everything visible like this. And so once again, the callback functions can be generated within Fluid environment, and typically I would use it to verify the correct formats of the functions that needs to be generated. So we already started Fluid. We already opened our brand new project, Fluid project FL file. So now we select WinApp, which we already have right now. In the preview, double click on the window to open the properties. So we go directly to the properties. Okay, so we just double click here and we go to the properties. So inside the properties, we switch to C++ tab right here and type the callback function name, callback window closing. Okay, so if we were doing it by hand ourselves, we'd be doing it like this, right? So callback right here, we just do this. No parameters, just the name alone. Okay, so nothing. This callback will be invoked when the user clicks the X button to close the window. So now close the properties dialog box, which we can do, of course. And now under here, under double window, once again, we can use Fluid window new code function method. Okay, new code function method right here. And now we can enter the name of the callback function. Okay, so we just do this, and now this little dialog opens, and of course we're going to change it here. And so this is the format right now. Okay, so copy it from here and replace the make window with this, right? Just replace it, and then keep the return type static void. So this is all straight out of Fluid documentation. And so now this function will be added by fluid to, actually strange, it already added make window here, but let me just click OK. No, it changed now to callback window. Okay, and notice that callback window closing is a static function. It belongs to fluid window class right now. Now we can add the body of the function. Okay, so we can just remember the body of the function was here. This is our version of the function that worked for us. But if we're using fluid, okay, so this would be new code. So we select the function like this. Make sure that you select the function. It's important. This selection is all the time very important inside fluid. New code and code, right? So you just repeat it a couple of times like this, and it gives us a chance to enter whatever we like. So our code was really, we can take it from above, from right here, right? So we can do it this way, or we can just copy it directly from this portion of the handout. We're now looking at number 8 and 9, so we just replace this example hello world with our own code, with whatever we want to do right here. Okay, and so this should be it. This should be able to generate this this for us. So we can click OK on this. So function now has something to do. So it has the actual body. The only step that's remaining here, because we want to keep this pretty independent, is that we have to be self-sufficient to include IOStream in this header file generated by Fluid. How do you do this in Fluid? Well, as it explained here in this handout, we need to go to new code declaration, and but first I'd like to show you how to do it incorrectly so that you can see what mistake not to do. For instance, if you select something inside this class, remember that this include has to be done outside of the class, like pretty much on top of the entire file when it gets generated. But if I just keep this selection, or even if I just select this class, if I say new code declaration, like it suggests right here, new code declaration, and paste this in and say, okay, this is what I want. No matter what you do, it will kind of assume that this is something that we try to add to the class. So yeah, I change it to include, I say okay, but it's a wrong idea to include something inside the class. So here we have this F2 key to rearrange it, so we can press F2. Okay, just select this and say F2, 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 and see it doesn't jump outside of the class. So this is the wrong way of doing it, and I'm just going to press delete key to get rid of it. And now I will show you how to do this correctly. Now remember, I selected the class and tried this and it didn't work. So now I'll just try to collapse it like this and click outside to sort of unselect everything in this view, right? So right now I just I can probably do it with this, but I'm not sure. I'd rather collapse it and click outside. Right now it's selected, click outside, it's no longer selected. And now with nothing selected, code declaration, new code declaration, and try this include, and hopefully, right, so this is now seems to be at the same level as class, and I will press F2 to put it right at the top. So now I'm expecting this to be something something more appropriate, something that can be handled properly like this. So if I generate this fluid code file, of course we need to save the project first, save the fluid project, and then say file, write code. Of course I'll override the code that I have right now, but that's okay, I will be able to fix it later. So this stuff was written, and now if we take a look at our project, Okay, let's see. So yeah, here, very similar to what we did manually from our lab handout, Fluid was able to do it for us, and you can see that this is probably two very identical things right here. And of course there is an implementation of it. So now let's try to undo this because we don't need this. And let me see, apparently that include was actually placed in the implementation file. I was expecting to see where the include was placed, so I'll take a look at the Fluid implementation file as well. Yeah, right here. So this is our IO stream, which was placed here because we decided that for callback window closing we need this. So this is all confusing because we did this manually first, and this is the way I prefer to do it, because again I'm just reminding you that I'm showing you doing the same thing through Fluid only in case if you need to verify what exactly is generated, how it should look like, and things like this. So let me go right back to my Fluid project and undo what I did. So I should be able to delete the include. I'm pressing delete key right here, and then I should be able to get rid of this. So I'll just press delete key and it gets deleted. Now save again, and file, write code. Remember, all the time you have to write code to refresh these files. Close. Okay, and so yeah, so now the callback added through Fluid is gone. These two files generated by Fluid, and what's still remaining is the declaration of this function, because I still have to go back, right? So it's visible here as a callback because we added it. So we still have to go right back to double window. We can double click to bring the properties up, and now we need to get rid of this, I suppose, right? So we need to get rid of this. So we no longer want to use Fluid to generate any callbacks. I think this is all that's remaining here to do. So close this one more time, save, and write code. Okay, so the code is rewritten. So now it's gone. Okay, so that's now I was able to edit and then remove it. So these are so this is now gone, but you can see that you can just use these steps, and you can have Fluid generating this code for you. So what's remaining in this handout is just a discussion of everything that the code does, which we already did in our earlier video, and yeah, so these parts really suggest what every part of this code is doing. So just read this handout and try to understand how all these connections are made. Of course, in our future laboratories we will continue using all of these techniques consistently to be able to provide this kind of plumbing inside of our application. Basically, callback functions are the way for user interface to communicate back to our application, and this window closing callback is our first example of this. So there's nothing to submit for this lab. This is a self-learning lab. You just watch the videos and review the handouts that are posted for this section of our course.